Morning, morning.
Good morning. What is up? Morning, Bill. How's it going? Hope everyone's good.
Morning, morning.
Oh no. Oh no.
Am I frozen?
I think you're good.
I think you're right.
My my phone tried to switch us to Bluetooth, so said no. Let's see. Where's Dre? Need to need to poke the bear a little bit.
Yeah, I sent him one here a minute ago. Ever since the update, every time they do an update, we get glitches for a while until they correct it.
Update. What are you talking about?
We have what's today? We're doing what is it? The baptism. He's going over the baptism again.
Oh, the baptism of the Spirit.
Not sure. Yes, I'm not sure. Today.
I was gonna say we just went over that like a couple of days ago, or a couple. I guess it was a month ago or so. Yeah.
So did we wrap up conscience yesterday? Could you repeat that? So I missed yesterday. Did we completely wrap up conscience yesterday? Yeah, that's it. I think we did. Oh, I have to go back to the YouTube. I had class yesterday. Yo, the semester.
This month is terrible. And all the time.
I'm muffled. Hey, Sister Tara. God bless.
Good morning. It's been a little bit over this flu. Good to see y'all.
Good morning. Yeah, that's funny.
Oh, y'all could have told me to mute. I didn't know I was in the live yet.
Oh, Mac, brother. God bless. Good.
I was just thinking. I was like, no one's gonna say anything to Mac. All right.
Oh,
That's
no.
Yeah, well, I'm sitting here hooking up a trailer real quick, but I didn't know I made it in there that quick.
I wasn't preparing or anything. It was just kind of there. It wasn't blowing anybody's eardrums out, I don't think. Definitely equal.
Do we have a? Is that the topic then, or is that what you're guessing the topic is?
Well, I think we finished that. Yeah, I wasn't sure if he was going to go a little more with Dre over it.
Oh, okay. Jerry doesn't understand spiritual baptism. I'm just kidding. $275. That's not this.
I mean, why are we even? What are we doing?
God, get the gook off our eyes and
You mean like in live, Taylor?
What I mean is, we were saying we were gonna send the lab to him, and he's on a plane.
Oh,
So he was saying yesterday he's going to Phoenix. So
okay, okay. So yeah, we probably won't finish that if that was for Dre. Then
What's up, people?
we got the honor of having you here today.
So, CJ,
oh, chat.
What is going on?
what's going on? What's up, Trot? I'm up here, brother.
Good
Bubba, what
morning.
is hold on a
What?
second. Everybody hold the phone.
Ah,
Hold on. I gotta do two things real quick. One,
ah. Hey,
and two,
don't talk about Dallas now. Don't do that. 'Cause you know I'm a
nah, I
Fort
can't
Wayne fan. You
I
know I'm a
can't
Fort
talk
Wayne
about Dallas, Bubba. You
fan.
it took you about a year to finally come up here.
Yeah,
I gotta
but
talk about you just for a second, man.
yeah,
Hold on a minute, man.
yeah,
Hold the phone.
Mhm.
Hold the phone. So this is Hulk, guys. I've known Hulk for about 2 years, and yeah, y'all. A lot of people, y'all probably never seen his picture up here. I'm sure you've seen it in the comments, but uh, he was dealing with some infirmities of his own, and I told him as soon as you can come up, come on up.
I'm
So
up,
he
bro.
finally come up. What's up, man? What's going on?
Good, bro. Just in therapy, man. Getting stronger and stronger. I couldn't walk 3 weeks ago. Now I'm walking and back to lifting weights and gained 70 pounds since surgery. So I'm back up to
Man, nice.
210 and getting back in the beast mode, brother. So
I
yeah,
hear you.
man,
Yeah.
God's been with me, brother.
Awesome.
Jesus brought me through it, my friend.
Awesome.
He brought me through it. Y'all brought
Awesome.
me through it.
Wow.
Y'all brought me through it. Listen to y'all, man. I be in there. They do surgery on me. I wake up that morning or something. I'm like, get my phone over here. I'm like, Mom, get my phone over here. I'm like, put it on descale. Put on. I said, fine trot. She said, what are you talking about? A trot? I said, fine trot. So that's like every morning, man, she finds y'all for me. And then she got listening to you. And she's like, I'm gonna get TikTok so I can listen to them. So anyway, bro, yeah, I've been listening to y'all. Y'all helped me through a lot, bro. Y'all did,
Oh
man.
man, God's amazing.
God
Amen.
is
God's
amazing. God
amazing.
is amazing, brother. He is amazing.
Yeah, he
Amazing.
is. So let me ask you this. So let me ask you this. So how edifying would it have been if we're all up here arguing about some junk
Oh man,
without it?
man. I mean, sometimes the guys step up and Hulk comes out. Sometimes you know how I am. But no, man, I love this application. You know, I love it. I asked you about it for,
Yeah,
I think I asked you about it for a year, and then I got real sick, man. And after that, I was here, but I was listening. I just wasn't able to really come up. But now I'm
yeah,
feeling good, getting stronger and stronger, man. And my Niners are stomping tail right.
yeah.
So
Well,
yeah,
good,
bro.
man. I'm glad to see you up. It's been a minute. Like I haven't literally spoke to you in like it seemed like a year.
Yeah, bro, it's been a while, brother. I know
Yeah,
I just recently tried to start getting on. I got on Thomas Live a few times just for a couple minutes, just speak to him, But yeah, I like, man, today's the day. I'm getting on with my boy today.
yeah. Well,
Brother. Yes, sir.
well, well,
Oh, show.
well. Heck, well, a lot's. How many kids you got, Hulk?
Got to.
You got two.
Yeah, my daughter just turned 16. She's got a license. My son, He's
I said she got a license.
yeah, yeah. My boy, he's 24, and he's got he's a genius, man. He's about to have his master's. So
Oh
he
wow,
had 2 years under his belt in school. So he's like you, man. He likes learning, bro. He is
got
bored
to.
with something. He's gonna learn something else. He's a black belt in karate. He's getting ready to be.
Nice.
He's gonna be an FBI forensic therapist. Is what he's gonna be. That's what he's
Well,
going to school
hey,
for.
well, then it sounds like he earned it.
Yeah, bro, he did. He's a genius. I don't know where he got it from. He ain't get it from me. I ain't that smart.
He got it from his mama, bro.
His mom ain't that smart. That's a brother. I don't know. His brother's got God. God just give him a natural talent. But
Yeah.
yeah, bro.
Well,
Yeah.
I tell you what, the my heifer that I've been, you've known I've been hiding from her at night under the covers, bro, with the flashlight on TikTok with my TikTok brothers. Well, we just well, I got an echo. Somebody got an echo.
Hold on, man, brother. My Bluetooth kicked in for some reason. Am I right now?
Oh
Let me
yeah, you're
just
good.
flip.
You're good.
Yeah, all
Yeah.
right. Yeah, my
So
Bluetooth.
me and my old heifer, we're pregnant, Bubba. This be our
Are you
first baby.
serious?
Yep.
Congratulations,
Yep.
brother.
And it'd be
It's
and
gonna
it'd be
be.
my and it'd be my first baby altogether. Like I literally just dedicated so many years of my life to serving my country and serving
Oh,
communities.
oh, yeah.
I wish I could say I did it all perfect, but I did not. But I dedicated a lot of my life to serving and giving, and now I'm pregnant. Well,
Bro,
my wife is. We
your
are.
little boy is gonna be a hellion. You know that.
Hey, congrats, man.
He's gonna be a
Yeah, I appreciate
hellion,
that.
bro.
Woohoo!
Yes,
Congrats.
Uh oh,
congrats.
they already
You
coming
gotta
out with
be.
the joke. Who said that, baby trotter?
Yeah, yeah, that's what I didn't say it.
You know it,
Your little boy is
That's
gonna be a
awesome.
hellion.
Congrats.
So.
Yeah, we're
Yeah,
gonna have a truck
you and
trading.
you and Flip gonna have babies about the same time, bro.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Flip. Does y'all know how far along is a Flip?
I think he's like 3 months along, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Somewhere.
we're going into the second month. So yeah, we're gonna be having them back to back, pretty much.
Wow, brother, that's congrats, bro. Kids will
Yeah.
change your life, man. My daughter, she's my world, man. She's my princess, right?
Yeah, I
I
bet.
went, I went through a lot, man. In between being sick and everything, my wife couldn't handle it, so she moved out, bro. She left me, so but it's good. It's all good, brother. I got my house sold. I bought me some new land. I'm building me a new house, and I already built me a steel building on it, and I'm just moving forward, bro. Moving
Yeah.
forward.
Yeah, I hear you.
About it, man.
That's all you can do.
Yeah. She left, so what am I supposed to do?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's all good, brother.
Hold on a second, Mike. What'd you say, Mike? I think Flip said they're not prego anymore. Really? Well,
Uh,
Yeah, they last I heard that they had lost the baby.
Are you serious? Oh
well,
Yeah,
God.
I think that made their second one they've lost or something like that. I think.
Oh God. I hate to hear that, man.
well,
Hate to hear that.
well. Trust me, I already understand. Let's just say I did a lot of reading and a lot of speaking to some doctors and some other folks and specialists, and dude, it's just a freak thing. It just happens, and so
Yeah.
I'm just glad I read up on it just to understand like how and why and all these things. And so in a few
Hey,
days we go.
I'll tell you, man. I'll tell you the truth. You'll never be ready for a child, brother. Just have it and be happy. You'll
Yeah,
never be
nah.
prepared. You can't be
Well,
prepared.
I'm
It's
talking about the miscarriage. No, I'm talking about the
all
miscarriage part. Like
miscarriage.
I was just trying to understand, and so I have a better understanding. And
Oh, yeah.
if something like that was to happen, I'm just glad that I understand like how and why. Like I just saw because they even show you photos. Like sometimes the baby can like begin growing outside of the thing it's supposed to be inside of. Like there's so
Yeah.
many. It's just weird. It's all the stuff I've learned.
Fallopian tube babies and all kind of stuff,
Yeah,
man.
and but we're gonna find out here in the next few days. We're gonna have what do they call it?
Fucking
Ultras.
grass,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
you definitely gonna be hiding under covers now. You got a kid, bro. You got to hide. You gonna definitely have to make you a foxhole.
Might make me a foxhole in the house.
You have to, bro. You have to, 'cause that kid wake up, you're like, "Everybody, it's your turn. Try it. Go get it.
Oh
Go get
man.
it."
Yeah.
And grass. Hey, I hope you got enough sleep. All the sleep you need. That's all I'm gonna say. No.
I better have all the sleep I need. Yeah. It's all right, man. Hey,
Yeah,
I'm
and
just gonna
sometimes it's always your
mentally I'm
turn.
gonna put myself do what? Do what?
I said, yeah, and sometimes it's always your turn.
Oh
Oh yeah, that's right.
yeah.
Exactly right, man.
Well I
You
tell
dead on the money.
well let me say this.
Dead
Let
on
me
the
say
money.
this. Let me say this. She's going into her 7th week and yeah, let me just say I don't know how do I it's always my turn so far. Let me just say that.
Okay.
Well, hey, I'm not kidding. Listen. Yesterday, bro, I told her. I said, I'm gonna keep tabs. I'm gonna start counting. I'm gonna start counting all this stuff you're doing. So,
Yeah,
bro, she's
hey,
like,
I'm gonna count
hey,
the diapers I changed.
yeah, well,
You know,
she's like, hey, I need my regular water meal that I
oh Lord.
usually get. I was like, all right. She goes, add jalapenos. I said,
Oh
add
my God,
jalapenos.
dude. Are you
What? It's
kidding me?
okay.
What?
So I'm like, all right. So I add jalapenos. Man, like 3 hours later, hey, I need you to go to Subway and give me that number, whatever, and add jalapenos. I'm like, what's going on with this jalapeno stuff? She's like, I don't know. I have no idea.
Your boy is definitely gonna be a hellion. She eating all them jalapenos will come out Mexican one.
He gonna come out. I don't
Hey,
know. He gonna come. Yeah, yeah.
I tell you what though, the next picture we're gonna see, your dog and your baby, and it's gonna have Trot One and Trot Two on it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for real.
yeah.
Hey, y'all think I'm kidding? I'm not kidding. I wanted to name my boy Trot, and she looked at me and she goes, "No, the
Hey,
Trots have
bro,
Can't name
ended."
everything
that's
Trot.
a cool name, bro.
hey,
I
hey,
named my baby goat Trot.
yeah, I
My
remember
baby
that.
goat Trot. Yeah, dude. Yeah, that's a crazy little juggernaut, boy. He crazy.
I bet he is.
He gets out of the
Well, let
pen
me
and
just.
nobody else can. I don't know how he gets out, but he's a hellion boy. He's a crazy little goat, little boy goat Trot. What I
Yeah, well,
name?
I tell you, I went to the store. I think the point I'm getting at is I went to the store 9 times yesterday. And Bubba, we don't live right next to Walmart, Bubba. We out here in the boonies. And I had to go to Walmart 9 times.
Oh, well,
I
you gonna
said,
have to buy you an electric car, bro. You gonna have to get rid of your truck and get you an electric car.
nah, let me
But
tell you this though. I sold my truck, but I'm gonna have now. No, baby, come. Hey, let me tell you something, man. Let
Yeah,
me tell you something. Baby gonna come in the world in style.
that's
Bubba.
right.
I'm about to get me a brand new. I'm about to get me a brand new something. I
I
don't know what
hear
I'm gonna
you,
get
bro.
yet.
Bro, I'm gonna tell
I'm
you,
gonna get a
man.
brand.
I drove a Titan for like 15 years, bro, and I'm gonna tell you, there ain't nothing like a Titan. Everybody that's drove my Titan, while I was sick, a lot of people had to take me to the doctor and drive my truck, bro. Every one of them that drove my truck bought a Titan. Every one of them.
Yeah, no.
They
Matter of fact,
freaking.
that's what I had. I had a Titan. That's what I
Oh,
had.
did
My
you?
last vehicle. Mm-hmm. And
The
I sold
beast,
it.
hey,
man. They hold their value too, man.
Yeah.
we're talking
That's
about you made 9 trips to the store. I got to a point to where I told my wife, I said, listen, you're gonna have to predict these cravings. That way I can just make one trip to the store.
yeah.
That's right.
Hey, my
Hey,
dad. Hey,
bro.
And
my.
no.
I
I
know
just
my
bought
dad.
everything, bro. I just bought everything. I buy everything at the grocery store. That way I had everything at the house. Whatever
Yeah.
she wanted, if it was pickles, if it was jalapenos, where mine like hot stuff too. Like whatever she wanted, I'd have it in the refrigerator. Be like, yeah, I want this. I already bought up. I just went to the grocery store and spent $200. I'm ready
Yeah.
for you, girl. I ain't running the grocery store 100 times. Forget that.
Yeah. Well, my dad. Today we're gonna tell my dad in person. So I'm sure somebody on here probably heard it. Gonna tell my dad and gonna tell my peeps. But I'm like, you know what?
I hope
It's
not.
like,
That'd ruin it.
oh
Congrats,
no,
there, bro.
no,
Congrats.
no. Let
Seriously,
me tell
man.
you something. Let me tell you something. If somebody that like a family member or whatever come on in here and heard that and went and told my pops, I'd be getting a
Yeah.
phone call. Let me tell you this, my dad don't ever call me in the morning. If my dad calls me in the morning, that's what it is.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I'll
If
let
we
y'all
share
know.
it,
I'll
we'll
let y'all
know.
know. I'll say, hey, my dad just called.
Yep. Yep. Bro, if you have a little girl there, man, there ain't nothing like a little girl, bro. A little girl will take care of you. The boy, they'll love you, but they won't take care of you. I'm going to tell you
They'll
that.
beat the snot out of you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's
Well,
it.
I'll tell you the reason why we're rooting for a boy. This is the reason. So, both my brothers, they both have 3 kids. One of them's got 3 girls, and
Oh,
one of
yeah.
them's got two. One of them's got 2 girls and 1 boy.
Uh,
So I got 5 nieces and 1 nephew,
wow.
and we're kind of we're kind of hoping for a boy.
Need
Wow.
that family name to carry on.
Yeah,
Bro,
well, we only got yeah, our family name's about to be diluted. We got number girls. You hear me?
wow, dude. Yeah, you do need that boy. Y'all got to keep your name going on, bro. For real.
Yeah, yeah.
For real.
Hey, Hulk, how long you gonna be able to stay up?
Oh, I'm good, bro. I'm good, man. Like I said, I'm strong now. I'm driving again. I'm doing therapy outside the house. I
Okay.
was. I had to come here. I couldn't walk, bro. I had to learn to walk all over again.
Right.
They told me I won't be walking till February. I said that's a lie, and I'd be laying in the bed, dude, with my bands, like pushing them, like doing squats with them and stuff.
Yeah.
I threw that thing away 3 weeks ago, bro. I said I'm walking. Like, what do you mean you walking? I said I'm walking. That's what I'm doing. And I went to the doctor's office. I told him I said I'm gonna be walking. I'm gonna be gained 70 pounds. I walked in there and I had gained 70 pounds and I was walking. They was like, wow. So I just give all the glory to God, bro.
Yeah,
Glory.
absolutely. I can see you just saying, Mom, let's go. I got to do another 50 steps today. Put it on D scale. Let's go.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. I did, dude. I was the whole time, bro. I was there. I was there the whole time, bro. But nah, they had to pick me up with a crane, bro. I couldn't get out of bed. So they had to pick me up with a crane, sit me in a wheelchair, roll me into like the gym area or whatever, and then I had to get up and hold on to bars and walk, and they had like straps hooked to me like I was Spider Man, where I wouldn't fall. I learned how to
Yeah.
walk. I learned how to walk all over again, bro. But I did it, man. I walked all through it and had God with me the whole way, and I did it, bro. When I got home, the people was coming here, to taking care of me and stuff. I had to have people coming out to take care of me because I couldn't get out of bed, bro. I mean, I couldn't roll out of bed. I couldn't sit up
Yeah.
good. And finally, they come about 3 weeks, and then they come and was like, bro, we gotta start putting a backpack on you. You're doing so good. We wait on it because you're already like popping out of bed and everything. So
Yeah, I
I
got to
was
put a
walking.
backpack on it.
They come over here, and I met them at the door walking. There, where's your walker at? I said, it's laying back there in the corner. I don't use that thing no more. They're like, what? I'm like, yep, I don't use it no more, bro. I said, I'm walking just like I told you I was going to.
Yeah.
I be working out
Yeah.
in the bed, bro. I have curls. I had a curl bar in the bed with me. I was bench pressing and everything,
He
bro.
said, hey, while I'm in the bed, I'm going to be doing some sets. You hear me?
Heck yeah, dude, I was. And they come over and be like, what's that? What's that steel bar laying in the bed with him? I'm like, oh, I got that just in case, in case somebody walks in, I'll have something, whatever. So then they figured out I wasn't know. I was working out. They caught me one day working out actually, and I was like, look, I'm able to do it, so I'm gonna do it. It ain't
Yeah.
75 pounds, but man, I was doing it, and it's light, but I mean, man, I was benching 400 pounds when I got hurt, bro. And now but I'm getting it back, bro. It's coming back. My weight's coming back. I'm getting big again, and the Hulk
Well,
is coming back. I was David Banner for a while, but the Hulk is coming back,
David
bro.
Banner.
Yeah,
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm glad to have you on. I've been waiting for you to hop up and kind of give us an update on
yeah,
what's
bro.
going on. and it couldn't have been a better day
I know,
than
bro.
this.
Congrats on your kid, man. That's a joy, bro. You will love it. There's nothing like a kid, man. Nothing like a kid.
Yeah.
Nothing like.
Well,
They're
well,
expensive, but you'll love it.
no, I know it, man. I know. I know. Like I said, 5 nieces, a nephew. I know that those, aren't my physical kids, but I tell you,
Yeah,
if it was all about, making sure that every kid that, had to be like the blood related to everybody, then nobody would understand anything. I mean, we all
that's true.
learn and pick things up as we see our family members having kids or whatnot. But I'll say this, like I'm glad you came up, and today, is the day that we were going to be announcing, and because my dad and them, they kind of live, an older secluded life. I don't see anybody
Perfect.
hopping on here and telling them.
Perfect.
But like I said, if that happens, there's no worries. But today we're going to continue to talk about consciousness. That's what we're
Oh
going to
yeah.
continue to talk about.
Oh yeah.
We were talking about it yesterday. And did anybody write down, or do you recall where we left off yesterday? Anybody?
I didn't hear the end of it, man. I had to go to therapy, man. I had therapy early yesterday, so I didn't hear the end of it. I heard all the way up to like I think 10:30 is what I heard all the way up to. So
Yeah.
my
Oh, I
time
think,
missed it.
I think I think I was going to go over a part of Hebrews again.
Yeah, you were talking about
uh,
Hebrews and I was on there. I can't remember what, but like I said, I had to get off and do therapy, so I
I know
didn't
you
know.
made it
yeah.
all the way through the story of Samuel and Saul.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I know we finished up with
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, we went through there. So, Tara, you going to be prepared to read today, or did you just come to hang out?
I got you, bro.
All right. Let's do I think it's Hebrews 9 or 10. Let me look. Or it might be 9 and 10 actually.
I know
Hold on.
Hebrews 8's talking about the new law, talking about a new law or new covenant
Yeah.
coming in.
Yeah, right. So after 8,
Yeah,
it should be 9 then. After you saying that, I
yeah,
think it
like
is
a
9. Yeah,
9.
cuz
Yeah.
8 he starts going from the law, and then he starts
Mhm.
talking about the consciousness.
Yeah.
So Hebrews 9. Oh my lord. Oh, here it is. And it's kind of in the beginning somewhere. I just don't remember where.
Bro, I'm drinking my honey coffee too, bro. I love
Yeah,
honey.
you are, Bubba. Yeah, you are. I tell people all the time, if you ain't put honey in your coffee, you are
Bro,
wrong. Like, that's the wrong answer.
well,
You got
honey
to
is
put honey in
banging,
there.
dude. I'm telling you, dude, it's like banging. It's hot too. Boy, my coffee is hot.
Yeah.
If I ain't burning my mouth, it ain't hot enough. Look,
All right. I'll tell you what. Uh, the Tara, Hebrews 9, 1 through 10.
Okay. Then verily the first covenant had also ordinances of divine service and a worldly sanctuary. For there was a tabernacle made, the first wherein was the candlestick and the table and the showbread, which is called the sanctuary. And after the second veil, the tabernacle, which is called the holiest of all, which had the golden censer and the ark of the covenant overlaid round about with gold, wherein was the golden pot that had manna and Aaron's rod that budded, and the tables of the covenant, and over it the cherubims of glory shadowing the mercy seat, of which we cannot now speak particularly. Now when these things were thus ordained, the priest went always into the first tabernacle, accomplishing the service of God. But into the second went the high priest alone, once every year, not without blood, which he offered for himself and for the errors of the people. The Holy Ghost this signifying, that the way into the holiest of all was not yet made manifest, while as the first tabernacle was yet standing, which was a figure for the time then present, in which were offered both gifts and sacrifices, that could not make him that did the service perfect as pertaining to the conscience, which stood only in meats and drinks and diverse washings, and carnal ordinances imposed on them until the time of Reformation.
Yeah, so 9 says, which was a figure for the time then present, in which were offered both gifts and sacrifices that could not make him that did the service perfect, as pertaining to the conscience. So why would this writer say that all these things that they're doing, it says, could not make him that did the service perfect? And then it goes further and shows you, it says, as pertaining to the conscience. Right? He, instead of leaving it vague, right, that it couldn't make him perfect, instead of leaving it vague, he goes, well, you know, as pertaining to the conscience. Like, why would that be added in there? As pertaining to the conscience, right? I'm throwing that out there because he explains it. He goes further, and that's why we're talking about conscience. So when people say things like the new age, Christ conscience, be careful, Christ conscience. Okay, well, let's talk about what the Bible says about the conscience. Let's talk about that, because
all that stuff.
yeah, well, there's nothing wrong to be Christ conscience.
Yeah.
Now, you can twist that and you can make that mean something else, but the point is, just like Peter, when Peter was walking on the water, he was Christ's conscience. He said, if it's you, bid me to come. His consciousness was focused on Christ. Christ bid him to come, and he came.
Yeah.
And it makes it very clear that when he started paying attention to the boisterous winds, he was no longer Christ conscience. He was flesh conscience, fear conscience. He was not Christ conscience, and he began to sink. The Bible talks about this in so many ways. I'm just glad it uses the word conscience or consciousness. I'm glad it uses the word, because it's showing you a huge truth here. So we go to let me see where it's at. Let's see, that was 9 through 10. Okay, so let's read the rest of it. Let's read Hebrews 9:11 through 22. We may not read the entire thing, but if not, I'll let you know.
Stop me. But Christ being come a high priest of good things to come, by a greater and more perfect tabernacle, not made with hands, that is to say, not building, neither by the blood of goats and calves, but by his own blood, he entered in once into the holy place, having obtained eternal redemption for us. For if the blood of bulls and of goats and the ashes of a heifer sprinkling the unclean sanctifieth to the purifying of the flesh, how much more shall the blood of Christ, who through the eternal Spirit offered himself without spot to God, purge your conscience from dead works to serve the living God?
Okay, so let me say so. Hold on, let me put the emphasis on the right spot here. So he's talking about all these blood of animals, and then he says, how much more shall the blood of Christ, who through the eternal Spirit offered himself without spot to God, comma, purge your conscience from dead works. So this is not telling you to purge your conscience. It's saying, how is your conscience still focused on sin when the actual sacrifice has now happened?
That's right.
So I'm gonna read it one more time. It says, how much more so, okay? So if these people were trusting on blood of animals, how much more shall the blood of Christ, who through the eternal Spirit offered himself without spot to God, comma, purge your conscience from dead works to serve the living God. Purge your conscience from dead works. Like, how are you still thinking that you are somehow supposed to be doing something to earn God when the blood of Christ has been spilled. He keeps pointing out to the fact that your conscience should be clear now because of Christ. Okay, so go ahead and read 15 to 22. We might as well finish it.
And for this cause he is the mediator of the New Testament, that by means of death, for the redemption of the transgressions that were under the first testament, they which are called might receive the promise of eternal inheritance. For where a testament is, there must also of necessity be the death of the testator. For a testament is of force after men are dead. Otherwise it is of no strength at all while the testator liveth. Whereupon neither the first testament was dedicated without blood. For when Moses had spoken every precept to all the people according to the law, he took the blood of calves and of goats, with water and scarlet wool and hyssop, and sprinkled both the book and all the people, saying, This is the blood of the testament which God hath enjoined unto you. Moreover, he sprinkled with blood both the tabernacle and all the vessels of the ministry. And almost all things are by the law purged with blood, and without shedding of blood is no remission.
Okay, so now we know there is remission of sin. And anybody that knows anything about cancer, what does remission mean? Your cancer is in remission. What does that mean?
If the meaning that completely went away, it still could come back.
It still could come back, right?
Yeah.
But when you look at the way that the Bible describes remission, it's talking about it's gone. Like like that sucker's done. It's you know, but let me go back to the part that I wanted to point out when it talks about 19. For when Moses had spoken every precept to all the people according to the law, this is Hebrews 9:19. According to the law, okay, he took the blood of calves. Now we're talking about animals again, with water, scarlet wool, hyssop, sprinkling both the book and the people. Notice that he has scarlet wool with them. Okay. And it says, saying, This is the blood of the testament, which God hath enjoined unto you. Moreover, he sprinkled the blood, both the tabernacle and all the vessels and all these things. And the Bible makes it very clear that this is what Jesus did in heaven. So, bro, I say this all the time, and I'm sure I wear you out, but I'm sorry, man. Like, just speaking to people, you can tell a lot of Christians that, I'm sorry, they do not realize what nasty of a thing happened in the garden. They don't. They really don't.
They don't.
They don't. This thing was so disturbing, disgusting, whatever word you want to use, that God himself had to make form a body so he can come live down here to do these things. And he had to take that blood and sprinkle heaven with it. I mean, if you're not really like picturing him doing that, it shouldn't make sense. It should not make any sense. Like, that's how ridiculous it sounds. Why would God have to sprinkle Jesus' blood in heaven? It's heaven. Watch. You ask somebody about heaven. If you ask somebody, but if you ask somebody about heaven, they're going to say, oh, it's so awesome. And, well, when did it become awesome? When did it not? If it's so awesome, why did Jesus have to sprinkle his blood on it? Like, what happened? And we know what happened. We know what happened. It happened in the garden. Okay. We know what happened. But the problem comes in when people don't understand what the garden is. That's the problem. They really don't understand what it is. Everything becomes compartmentalized, and it's not. It's not compartmentalized. The Garden of Eden is Eden itself is God's heart. That's exactly what it is. And so when the garden, which is man's heart, became defiled, Jesus had to sprinkle his blood on it. That's why there was thorn and thistles. This whole kid depiction of what happened, right? Oh, they ate this apple, and then you just see thorn and thistles grow. Man, you're missing it. This is not about physical thorn and thistles, man. That's crazy, bro. This is crazy, bro. It's crazy how people still look at this like the Noah's Ark.
So carnal, bro. So carnal.
Yeah, so they look at the story of Noah's Ark. You know, you ever seen a picture of Noah's Ark? 90% of the time, it's this little bitty boat, and it's got giraffe heads sticking out of it. Bro, come on, bro. Listen, I'm not saying people really believe that, but what I'm saying, these type of pictures clearly distort a truth. I understand what they're trying to do. I get it. Yeah. But you were not going to see even a giraffe's head at the size of this boat, dude. Okay.
Oh, man.
So, all right. So let's continue on. Let's see. We're at. Let's go to 10. Let's go to 10 because we're focusing on the conscience. So let's go to 10. Let's read Hebrews 10, and I guess we can stop at 10. So I guess we can read Hebrews 10, 1 through 10.
Okay. For the law, having a shadow of good things to come, and not the very image of the things, can never, with those sacrifices which they offered year by year, continually make the comers thereunto perfect. For then would they not have ceased to be offered, because that the worshippers, once purged, should have had no more conscience of sins.
Okay, let me say something on that before we continue. This is like almost common sense. Almost. You know, make no mistake. The word common sense, okay, the reason why the word common is used there is because it's talking about the majority of people understand this. It's no different than if you're trying to walk in from one room. I'm sorry, if you're walking from one room to another room and there's a door in between you, the majority of the world understand this. I understand in places of Asia they have curtains or whatever, but they still understand that object is how I get to the other side of the room. It's called common sense. That's what common sense is. Common sense is not that you and your family were brought up like hoodlums, like thugs and gangsters, and they say this weird, you know, they have their own lingo, and you go talk to someone that knows nothing about that life at all, but they speak the same language you speak. And it doesn't matter what they did, okay? It doesn't matter. They could sell popsicles for they're not millionaires. And you know, they sold, you know, pickles and popsicles for 50 years. And you go over there and start using your gangster thug language, talking about capping and all this. They're not going to know what you're talking about. Stop capping what? They're going to think you're talking about a baseball cap. They don't live. There are people that don't live that life. They have no idea what you're talking about, nor do they care. They want to sell pickles and popsicles. That's it. And that's how they make their living. Very simple people. They exist. If you never met them, you need to get out from under the rock and go meet people that are actually confused on the words you're using. They exist. Go meet them. Life is amazing. Go meet some people. And so you're going to have to correct your lingo and say, well, I'm saying stop lying. Oh, well, why didn't you say so? And you'll look at them like they're weird. But the truth is they're looking at you like you're weird because the word baseball cap does not mean lying. That's not what it means.
Amish country, they'll be the same. That's how they are. I've been there, and they don't even know what's going on.
Well, the point I'm making is for them, you don't tell them, come on, man, I'm saying capping. That's common sense. That's not common sense. That's not common.
Yes,
it's not common. Dre, what's up, bro?
How's Dre on here? And he's on a plane, is what I'm thinking.
Nah, I just landed.
He just landed. He said he wasn't going to be able to. Hey, Dre, you know Hulk?
Nice
you know what?
to meet you, Dre. What's up, brother?
What's up, man? I was like, man, Hulk gonna come up when I'm not up there. Ain't that something?
Yep. Yep. And it's the day that I was announcing that me and Mackenzie were pregnant.
Oh man.
Congratulations.
Well, so he's like, wow, thanks, guys. So, but okay, and I'm saying that because people do this with the Bible too. It's common sense. Listen, it's not. Stop saying common sense. Common sense is when the majority of the people should know. Okay, if you put a chessboard and a checkerboard next to each other, you can say, for the most part, it's common sense that people will look at that like maybe as games. But it's not going to be common sense if you say, oh, you play both of them the exact same way. Because not everybody's going to agree with that, because something has to be different. So your life, your world that you live in is not common sense to other people. And when it comes to understanding the Bible, and you just reading the black letters on the white page, and you tell someone, bro, look what it says right there, bro, it's common sense. Let me tell you something. The Spirit is not common sense. Let me just say that, man. It's not. I'm sorry. It's not common sense, right? So here it says, and this is at 10, where he's talking about the law being a shadow of good things to come. And then he goes even further. He says, and not the very image of the things. He says it twice. He says the same thing twice. For the law, a shadow of good things to come. A shadow. And then he says, not the very image. He already said that by saying it's a shadow. But this guy knows he's talking to humans. This guy knows that he's talking to humans, man. And it's sad that we have to keep saying the same thing over and over. You have to keep saying over and over. And then he gets to 2 and he says, for then, right? Because here he says, which they offered year by year. So he doesn't just say year by year. He adds continually. Isn't that what year by year means? You got to understand how these guys are writing, man. They're like, hey, dummy, look over here. Hey, dummy, look over here. Hey, dummy. This is how they're writing. Don't you think when they had this, when they started seeing things spiritually, you don't think they thought to themselves, what was hindering me? What was hindering me from seeing? It doesn't take them long to figure it out. It's the flesh. So they know they're writing to people of the flesh that may not see this. So they say the same thing over and over and over because that's how they needed to hear it and see it, which means they read it over and over and over, and they're like, oh, okay. So they know that there are people out there, they think everything's just common sense. No, bro. No, it's not. The Spirit's not common sense. I promise. Okay? There's people that don't even believe in God. There's people that do believe in a God, and they have a certain belief. But the Holy Spirit, I'm talking about the Spirit of the living God, is not common sense.
Yeah.
I don't know what's so hard about this. You don't just read the black letters on the white page and say, well, I comprehend, because my comprehension reading level is college level.
Especially if you don't have the Holy Spirit. If you don't have the Holy Spirit, it definitely is hard. Harder.
Yeah, 100% is going to be. So he says, so that year by year, these sacrifices, they did this continually, make the comers thereunto perfect, saying it couldn't. They did this all the time, every year. They sacrificed these things, and it never made them perfect. And he says, but in those sacrifices, there is a remembrance again made of sin every year. Oh, I'm sorry. That's 3. I'm sorry. Apologize. For then when they would not have ceased. So for then would they not have ceased to be offered? He's saying if the blood of animals made people perfect, wouldn't they have stopped offering? Now that part we can say, well, that's common sense. Like if the blood of animals were to make people perfect, wouldn't the people wouldn't they have stopped doing it because it made them perfect? Very simple question. He says, because that the worshipers once purged should have had no more conscience of sin. So his what he's getting at is, How are they still sin conscious? How? How are these people still have a conscience of sin? How? It's such an awesome question. It proves a huge point. And let me say this, it's a rhetorical question. The writer of Hebrews is not saying he doesn't understand. No. He's going over this because he's talking to people who don't understand. They still don't understand.
The sarcasm.
Oh, he's being very sarcastic. I'm telling you, God has a sense of humor.
Yeah, he does.
He got a sense of humor, man. So he's saying this because there are people that still don't understand. They still don't get it. That's why he's writing this down. There's people that still don't understand this. So we get to 3 and it says, but in those sacrifices, there is a remembrance again made of sin every year. Okay. Tara, go ahead and start reading at 4 through 10. I'm not going to interrupt you.
Okay. For it is not possible that the blood of bulls and of goats should take away sins. Wherefore, when he cometh into the world, he saith, Sacrifice and offering thou wouldest not, but a body hast thou prepared for me. In burnt offerings and sacrifices for sin thou hast no pleasure. Then said I, Lo, I come. In the volume of the book it is written of me, to do thy will, O God. Above, when he said sacrifice and offering and burnt offerings, an offering for sin thou wouldest not, neither hadst pleasure therein, which are offered by the law. Then said he, Lo, I come to do thy will, O God. He taketh away the first, that he may establish the second. By the which will we are sanctified through the offering of the body of Jesus Christ once for all.
Okay, so once for all through the blood of Christ, not once for all through the blood of animals. So whenever an Islamic believer, right, this is how ignorant they are here. And they're like, no, the Bible says that he would rather have this than sacrifice. He would rather have that than sacrifice, blah, blah, blah. It's like, sacrifice is not needed. And every time I go, brother, sacrifice of animals is what you're talking about. And they quickly, I could just see them scramble like, well, no, brother, you're taking it out of context. This is talking about animals. For you to twist this, to make it sound like it's talking about all types of sacrifices, you're lying, or
They
you're
don't
on
read
purpose.
context. They do not read context, dude. They don't even know what that is.
Yeah, but context, we know context matters. Okay, now I understand at times we can all miss a little context here and there. I get that. But they're not just missing a little context, bro. They are contorting. It's a complete twist. Yeah. You know, because he's talking about. Do y'all remember what story that they're bringing up? Does anybody know what story that is? Whose story is this? We talked about him the other day.
You talking about the Muslims, the Quran? You talking about?
No, the story in the Bible that they're bringing up. Does anybody remember off the top of their head?
I missed what they were saying. I was
Which one?
What was they talking? What was the context?
I'm saying that when an Islamic believer, when they're trying to they think they're trying to debunk Christianity by saying the Bible says that he don't need sacrifice. That he don't need sacrifice. They're using a Bible verse. They're using the Bible.
Man can't sacrifice for another man or something.
No, obedience is better than sacrifice.
Yeah, but what story is that out of?
I'm drawing a blank.
Man, we talked about these people yesterday.
I must have missed it, bro. I must have been there.
It was Saul. King Saul is when King Saul did not destroy all the people and animals.
Oh,
yeah. And he says, what is the noise? He said, what is this noise I hear? He said, I was going to take all these animals and sacrifice. And he says, obedience is better than sacrifice. And so they take this and they run with it and they go, see, sacrifice is not needed. And so it's all about the law. It's all about the law. And I said, brother, the context here was animals. The context is animals.
Yeah, they do that,
bro. But either way, again, we're talking about consciousness. And here, Hebrews writer talks about how animals, blood of animals, could not clear the conscience of sin. But then he brings up Christ and he says, by which will we are sacrificed through the offering of the body of Jesus Christ once for all. He is making it very clear that you should be Christ conscious, not sin conscience.
Exactly.
Every year, and two, it says, for then would they not have ceased to be offered, talking about animals, because that the worshipers, once purged, should have had no more conscience of sin. Meaning, whatever is used to completely clear us, you should not be sin conscious. That's what he's saying.
Yep.
So now when he talks about Christ, that we have been purged once and for all, he is telling you, why are you sin conscious? I say this all the time. Why are you focused on sin? What if the blood of animals makes people focused on sin? Are you calling Christ a heifer?
What more
Was he
can
nothing
Christ
more but
do?
was he
Yeah.
nothing more but a physical dove? How in
Yeah.
the world can you count the blood of the last Adam, God himself? How can you count that blood the same as a blood of an animal? How are you still sin conscious? How are you allowing someone to tell you, do you still sin? How do you not see that that is Satan? I don't understand
That
this.
makes me
I
so
don't.
bad, man, when I hear that dude. God, so carnal, man.
But
So
how in
carnal.
the world? It's so easy. It really is. Now, I'm not saying it's easy to believe. I'm not saying it's easy to hear, but it is so clear what the writer of Hebrews is saying. So when we hear this stuff about oh, watch out for the new age. Oh, yeah? What's that? They talk about Christ conscious. No, here you go, you moron. You're a Christian yourself, and you don't understand that we're supposed to be Christ conscious and not sin conscious. The Bible talks about it. So
Yeah.
what you're saying is there are people who are taking this truth from Christianity. They're taking the truth and they're turning it into something else. And because you yourself are not as familiar with the Bible as you should be, you're listening to this person that is, in their eyes, right? They call these people heretics and all false prophets and all this stuff, whatever they call them. And they're saying, see, look, they're new age. They're talking about Christ consciousness. Brother, how are you not understanding that that's what the Bible teaches, that we're supposed to be Christ conscience, not
They
sin
twist
conscience?
it though, man. They twist. Them new age where they think they're God. Like Christ conscious makes you like you are God. You are Christ. That's what they say, man. They
Yeah,
twist it.
no, I know. Let me
Take it
see. Where
for
are we
what
going with this? All right. Let's go to okay, that was 10. Okay, go ahead and continue to read Tara, from, let me see, Hebrews 10, 11 through 22. Yeah, 11 through 22.
Okay. And every priest standeth daily ministering and offering oftentimes the same sacrifices, which can never take away sins. But this man, after he had offered one sacrifice for sins forever, sat down on the right hand of God, from henceforth expecting till his enemies be made his footstool. For by one offering he hath perfected forever them that are sanctified. Whereof the Holy Ghost also is a witness to us. For after that he had said before, this is the covenant that I will make with them. After those days, saith the Lord, I will put my laws into their hearts, and in their minds will I write them. And their sins and iniquities will I remember no more.
All right, let me say this real quick. This is another thing I don't understand. I just don't understand this. After he talks about, he says, I will put my laws in their hearts, and in their minds I will write them. So you have people that are put themselves under the law, and they take this right here and they go, see, the law. And it's like, bro, finish. Let's finish. And their sins and iniquities will I remember no more. No more. David wrote, he said, blessed are he, or I think he says, blessed are they, or are he whose sins are no longer imputed. If you're not paying attention to what David writes, David makes a distinction between what kind of person he is and the kind of people that he admired.
Is that
The kind of people that he said, man, blessed are these people whose sins are no longer imputed. And if you're not paying attention to this, it's so funny to me. People are so caught up in this. Gotta be like David, dance like David. Bro, David, I'm sorry. I know you don't like it, but he did not have the Spirit of Christ living inside of him.
No.
I'm sorry. You can sit here and fight that. I know you want to say that David was he's great. In God's eyes, he was great. Yeah. No. Because of his faith, yes.
No.
Because of his faith, absolutely, 100%. The Bible makes that very clear. That's why he said, thy rod and thy staff comfort me. Who's the rod and the staff? Jesus, the comforter. So his faith,
after God's own heart.
right. So the fact that he's focused on that truth is why he's right with God. So that's why the Bible says, when we discuss it, it talks about that it's by faith. It's by faith. It's always by faith, 100%. But to say that on this side of the cross, there's no difference, it's a lie. It's not true. Jesus made the difference. It's completely different. Guys, can y'all mute y'all's mics? I'm getting a lot of feedback from somewhere. I don't know where. So, let me see. What was that last verse you read, Tara?
16.
16, covenant will make them after. That was the last one you wrote? No. 17. Yeah, okay. And it says, and their sins and iniquities I will remember no more. If he says that he will remember them no more, that means no more. That doesn't mean. It doesn't mean that one day he's going to. Oh. Do what now?
Can you hear me? Does that mean sins
what you
that
said?
are yet happen?
All of them, past, present, and future, all. Yeah. And here's the thing. When he became unalive on the cross, we all better hope he met future sins because we weren't even born yet.
Right?
Like, if you just start thinking about some of this stuff and you'll see it for what it is. So when people say, oh, no, he's talking about you individually. No, here we go. Let's back up. Let's back up. Was Jesus the high priest?
Yes.
Okay, so he's the high priest and the lamb? Now tell me how that makes sense. How is he the high priest and the lamb?
Because he's God.
Christ himself.
Right, but here's the thing. Listen, back in the old, a person individually had to take their sins before a high priest. They had to take their sins before a high priest. That's how they had to do it. Okay? But Jesus is the high priest. And he is the lamb. And the high priest sacrificed. That's why he said, no one takes my life, but I give it. And then he said, I will. And then he says that I will resurrect. Talking about himself, that he was going to resurrect himself. So he took his own life, the high priest. He resurrected himself, the Holy Spirit, because it was one sacrifice, one for all, right? And what it says right here in 10 says, by the which will we are sacrificed through the offering of the body of Jesus Christ once for all. For all. Does all mean all?
Yep.
Absolutely.
It's talking about sin. It's talking about sin, all sin. Don't you understand? His body died for all. You couldn't make up enough of it. Sin is not the issue. Unbelief is the issue, guys. It's not sin. Stop being sin conscious and be Christ conscious. Stop focusing on sin when the truth is you need to be focused on what took away sin. The confusion to me is just so funny and ridiculous that we're so easily convinced that if we sin again, that we have to start all over. I'm not understanding where this is coming from.
Can't be born again.
It's coming from a lie. It's coming from a lie. It's not true.
You're born again and not born again. You're not born again. You're born again. You're born again. That's just retarded, man.
Hey, don't say. Hey, Hulk, don't say that word. That R word, bro. Don't say that. I think we're about to get shot. Anyway, I just had to learn the hard way. But being sin conscious is when you can't help it but always talk about sin. So let's say that someone's got a problem, and I use this one a lot because I've dealt with it, where someone gets on someone else's nerves. I'd have to go to the barracks. I get called out to the barracks because there was like a fight or something. And obviously it's, well, this guy made this guy mad and so slapped so-and-so or whatever. Now, it didn't happen often, but it happened often enough to where, I can use it as an example. But, you can't go around just thinking because people make you mad, you slap them around. Like that's just a no-go. Like, first of all, grow up, stop allowing your emotions to get the best of you. And just because you're bigger than someone and you think you know more, doesn't give you the, you have no credibility as a person going around just taking advantage of people that way. If you don't like it that someone's more, book smart than you are, then go read more, because the answer isn't, well, I don't like that you're smarter and I'm going to slap you. That's not the answer. The answer is growing up. So I'm saying all that to say this. We are constantly in this flesh struggling with fleshly desires. And yes, one of those desires could be, I don't like you and I'm going to slap you one good time. Okay. So whatever the fleshly desire is that could at some point get the best of you, whatever that desire is, just because you fall short in that desire, who do you think you are where you can tell Jesus, well, what you did don't matter anymore? I don't think people are realizing what they're saying. You were so focused on the gift that the first Adam gave you. You were so focused on that gift. The first Adam gave us a gift of death. When you came into this world, you were spiritually dead. So the question is this: if you were spiritually dead when you came in this world, and I say this all the time, could you somehow take away your sinhood, right? Could you take away your sinhood by being really, really good? Let me ask Stephanie, what you think?
No.
Okay, so if you cannot take away your sinhood by being really, really good, and that was a gift that was given by the first Adam. Now we have another gift that was given by the last Adam. Anybody know what that gift is? Because it ain't sinhood. That was given to us by the first Adam.
Eternal life.
Right, so righteousness. Okay, so could you do something to take away your righteous hood? Could you be bad enough to take away what the last Adam gave you? No, but I understand it could be confusing. Well, so here comes a question. So you could just do whatever you want? You're missing the point. We're not talking about you doing whatever you want. I'm talking about biblical facts here. If you cannot be good enough to take away your sinhood, then what in the world makes you think the focus is about you being bad enough to ruin your righteous hood? It makes no sense whatsoever. The first Adam was able to give you a gift, and he was a disobedient Adam. So we're going to sit here and say that the obedient Adam's gift can be overridden by the disobedient first Adam. Is that what we're saying here? So both of them gave us gifts. When you become sin conscious and you're so focused on sin, you are literally saying that the gift, which is death, you're saying that gift of the first Adam is strong enough to override the obedient Adam. Nothing could be further from the truth.
How can you
It is
lose
not
something that
true.
you didn't earn? How can you lose something you didn't earn? That's
Right.
my
So if you didn't earn the death that was given to you by the first Adam, you did not earn that. In the same way, exact same way, you did not earn what the last Adam gave you.
Well,
Paul.
That's so good. Like, it's such a
Paul.
good perspective and how to look at it.
yeah, yeah.
We're not practicing. It's not saying that we go and we practice sin. That's totally not what it says. You know, and that's the problem with a lot of people that law keepers.
That's
They
right.
think that by us believing that we're telling people, oh, you can continue to go and sin. No, we're not
I
practicing.
hate hearing that, man. I so hate hearing that, dude. I was like, if you were truly saved, you wouldn't go to the worst possible thing you could do.
Exactly.
I mean, you would not even think about it. I don't even think about sin, period. It's not in my mind. And I sin less because of it.
That's good. I think that I'm more sin conscious than I should be. That's why this conversation's so good for me.
Oh, yeah. I just don't even think about sin anymore. I just keep my focus on Christ, and it makes you, it changes you from the inside out and just makes you want to be good without even having to be good. It just happens.
Amen.
Try, did you get that phone call, brother?
Yeah, can y'all hear me?
Yeah, I'm afraid you got that phone call.
Yeah. Well, it was no, it was. Oh yeah, no, it wasn't that phone call. To be honest with you, accident.
So then we did it again.
Yeah, he paused again there.
No, I accident. No, that phone call. I accidentally answered it, and literally, I just got another one right now. But anyhow, uh, where are we at?
Man,
The gift of the first Adam and the gift of the last Adam.
what's up, Unc?
Aloha.
Lamb, helper.
Praise
Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Man, that's weird. Every time I get a call now, it's like knocking my Bluetooth off. It's weird. Anyhow, yeah. So look, the focus, we're talking about consciousness. That's what we're talking about. And the Bible talks about it a great deal, right? A great deal. So this whole idea, right, that somehow, talking about being centered around Christ or Christ conscience, this idea that people are trying to say, oh no, be careful about people talking about. Listen. The Bible is making it true. I'm going over it. I don't understand why people are claiming to be Christians 10 years and they still don't understand this concept. They are mocking people that are telling you to be Christ conscience. How many times we got to go over this? How many more? How many more? What is it you're not, that's not clicking? You're not supposed to be sin conscious. You're not supposed to be sin conscious. You know who was sin conscious? A person who was sin conscious was someone that was in the Old Testament that were offering blood of animals.
Right.
And they were, and you know what? How long do you think it took them to become sin conscious again? Let's say that they sacrificed that animal and then the next day they wake up and do a sin, whatever that is. And they're like, oh man, I got to wait till next year. I made it 24 hours. And then we're on this side of the cross, and that's how you're living your life. Let me ask you this. Who's teaching you that junk? Who is teaching you that you're supposed to be sin conscious like the people in the Old Testament? Who is teaching you this? They're taking these scriptures that are talking about sinners, people who are not saved, not born again. They're taking these scriptures and they're putting you on the same level as a person who is not saved.
Or twisting scriptures.
It's
Hebrew
fear.
and all them.
That's
It's
why
fear.
I love Romans 12:2. He says, "Let God transform you into a new person by changing the way you think."
Yeah. So it says, be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind.
Yeah.
What Paul is talking about here is you become perfect when you're saved in your spirit, okay? But now we have to change the way we think. And how do you do that? You have to change your consciousness. Your conscience has to be focused on something else. And also, we're talking about consciousness for a lot of reasons. Another one is we're not supposed to be messing with people's conscience. Mm-hmm. You're not supposed to mess with people's conscience. We'll go over a couple of verses that talk about that too, but you're not supposed to if someone says they eat pork, you're not supposed to tell them, oh, you can't eat pork. If that person feels like he or she can eat pork, then they can eat pork. And the opposite, if someone's like, well, I don't want to eat pork, you don't tell them they have to, or vice versa. So if someone's eating pork, you don't tell them to stop. If someone's not eating, tell them to eat pork. If someone's like, oh no, man, the Bible says not to eat swine, I'm not going to eat pork. Nah, bro, nah, you can eat it. You don't do that, bro. Now you're messing with someone's conscience. I'm telling you, it's happened. Just go look it up. Just go look it up. How people will do something because someone else is telling them to do it, and it messes with their conscience. There are people in a lot of areas, America too, but especially in Asia, Asia culture, they still believe that committing suicide is more honorable than living with shame, right? So, but I don't want anyone to think that I'm not ignorant. It happens in every country, right? And in parts of the Asian world, there's forest that's called like the unaliving forest. It's full of people that walk in there and just commit suicide, and they see that as more honorable, right? But the point I'm focusing on is the fact that you could tell someone, you could convince them to eat pork and tell them, oh, it's good, and so they believe you for that day. And then they wake up the next day beating themselves up because they messed with their conscience. They unalive themselves because of the torment that they have put themselves in, because that's their understanding. Their understanding is eating pork is sin. And here you come along trying, I understand that people are like, no, it's okay. It's okay. Listen, if you have to convince someone to do something, that's a problem. You shouldn't have to convince. If someone in your life leaves, I don't care, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever. It could be a family member. I've seen brothers and sisters never speak again, and literally they both become unalived, and they stop talking the past 20 years. They ain't talked to themselves for the past 20 years. It's ridiculous. But if a husband or wife leaves and you go chase them down and you have to convince them to stay with you, I don't think you understand that's not how someone needs to stay with you. Someone needs to stay with you because there's something to miss. If you were never kind and loving, there's nothing to miss. Why would they want to come back? And you just tell them, I'll be kind and loving now. Maybe you're kind and loving for a day, maybe a week, maybe a month. I don't know, maybe 5 years. But this person could be so immature that they don't even understand what love and kindness is. They don't understand. They couldn't see it if it slapped them in the face. Sometimes immaturity is a reason that someone leaves. It's not because you were mean. And you sit down with these people and you say, well, what's love? What's kindness? And all they hear is, well, when they do things for me and they do things for me, 10 minutes go by and you still hear. And, if he would just do things, if this girl would just do things, if they would do things. No, you're an immature brat. Yeah. You're an immature brat. It has nothing to do with if they would do things. So basically, if they stop doing things, now love is no longer a choice. It's a feeling. And I don't feel like we're in love anymore. I don't feel it. Why not? Because you're not feeding the thing. So they think love is this, their feelings have to be fed. And that's why Jesus doesn't use feelings, because it's deceptive. He uses the word. That's why when John the Baptist was in prison, hey, go ask Jesus, is he the one? Or am I supposed to be expecting another? So they said, hey, John wants to know, are you the one? John was in his feelings. Jesus could have easily said, yes, yes, tell him yes. Here, I'm the one. He could have easily just said that. But he doesn't appease the flesh, because in the flesh, there's nothing good in the flesh. It's enmity. So Jesus is not going to use the flesh as a tool to win somebody back. He's not going to use that as a tool. What he uses as a tool is himself, the word, the truth, the way, the life. So he started healing people. Why? Because the Bible prophesied that when the Messiah came, he would do these miracles. So he did the miracles that the Bible said. And he says, now go tell John what you saw. He's not talking to the flesh. He's talking to the heart of man. Go tell him what you saw. When Jesus called Peter Satan, he wasn't calling the physical body of Peter Satan. He was talking to the seed, the carnal mind that's questioning the will of God. When Peter said, you're the Christ, the Messiah, the Son of the living God, he wasn't talking to Peter when he said, blessed art thou, Peter, and I'm going to call you rock and upon my church. No, he's talking about the spiritual revelation that came to him. He wasn't calling Peter, physical Peter, Satan, and he wasn't calling physical Peter the rock. He was talking about the spiritual revelation. He was calling that thing a pebble, one part. Each spiritual revelation that we get is building this temple. It's making it stronger. It's laying the foundation. How? The spiritual revelation. The carnal mind wants to stop the will of God, but the will of God cannot be stopped spiritually. It cannot. That's why the gates of hell will not prevail. So when people say, oh, well, Jesus was standing next to this place and they call that the gates of hell, what does that have to do with the spiritual truth? It doesn't negate the spiritual fact. Just because Jesus was standing there at a physical place doesn't mean that's all he was talking about. No, sir. We all know that spiritually, that's the temple that's built with not man's hands. It's not built. It's a spiritual truth. So, hold on.
Amen.
Man, where was I going with that? I'm sorry. I was over here reading this. I got an email and I apologize.
Changing of our mind, the way of thinking, the consciousness.
Yeah, but there's a reason why I brought up Peter, and I don't remember what it was because I got this email and it was important. I needed to look at it.
Because it wasn't Peter that it was the spirit in him when he says, "Get behind me, Satan." Wasn't
yeah,
Peter.
But what was I saying right before that? Before I brought up Peter, that's what I'm asking. I don't remember. I'm over here going off of Peter reading this email.
Too many people are always in that mentality, trying to point out individuals' actions, like the eating of the pork and the law when you're
that's right. Yeah, that's right. Thank you. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I apologize, guys. I had to read this email. I didn't know if it was going to be the one I was looking for or not. But anyway, so yeah, right. Because we're talking about consciousness. All right. We're talking about consciousness. We're talking about, you don't mess with people's consciousness. You don't have to do that. Right. If somebody if they're because we're talking about people leaving. right? People leaving out of your life, and you're trying to convince them, and you're trying to tell them that they need to stay and all this, you know. And I started talking about John being locked up in prison. Jesus told, just like he was telling Peter, he was not talking to the physical Peter, either one of them. He wasn't calling him Satan, and he wasn't calling Peter the rock. He was talking about the thing that he received. That's what he was talking to. He was not, because Jesus, when he said to them, go tell John what you saw, he's not talking to their flesh. He needed them to go tell about the word, to contest of the word. And the flesh doesn't do that. Only the heart can test of Christ. So when they went and told John what they saw, if you're focused that he's only telling the physical them, then that means he was physically calling Peter Satan. So when Jesus said, get behind me, Satan, then he was calling Peter Satan. Oh, all of a sudden, no one's going to agree with that. All of a sudden now, oh, well, hold on now. No, you cannot pick and choose when Jesus is talking physically. And you can't pick and choose. He's either being consistent or he's inconsistent. You can't pick and choose to your liking when he's talking to Peter and when he's not. You can't do that. You have to be consistent. You have to tell the truth. If he was calling Peter the rock, then he was calling Peter Satan. He was not calling Peter Satan. He was talking to the carnal mind when he said, get behind me, Satan. Be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed. How? By the renewing of your mind. Your mind needs to start thinking like Christ, and the only way to do that is to be Christ conscious. You cannot think like Christ and have the mind of Christ if you're not renewing the way you think. Instead of thinking against the will of God, like Peter was doing, you need to think like the will of God. So when he says to the disciples of John, go tell John what you saw, with what eyes? What eyes are they seeing this? Well, no, but he was here physically. Yes, and so was Peter here physically, dude. Come on. What is it you're not seeing? How do you not see what Jesus is doing this whole time? We wrestle not against flesh and blood. Jesus was not wrestling against flesh and blood. So when they went and told John, oh, John, he started doing all these things. It answered the question. He's the one. But he could have easily said, yeah, I'm the one. Here I am. Woohoo. He could have easily said that. And most Christians today would have. No, let your yay be yay and your nay be nay. They use this word. Say yes or no. Stop being a politician. That's funny. I've never met a more political person in my life. Jesus is the biggest politician, Bubba. Y'all have no idea, man. If you don't understand how he was the biggest politician. Show us a sign. You'll get no sign but the sign of Jonas. Bro, he does not just come out with the answer. He speaks in riddles and parables only to them that cannot see and hear. So it's crazy how it is, but it's so true. He was a huge politician. You either understood what he was saying or you didn't understand what he was saying. But to sit here and act like that everything he said, it was all so pleasant and all so beautiful. No, it was not. Only to those that had ears to hear and eyes to see what was pleasant. That goes all the way back to the garden, and all the trees planted were pleasant to the sight. Pleasant to who? Pleasant to them that had the eyes of God, which is who? Adam and Eve. They had pleasant sight. All the trees were pleasant except for one. It's so funny. Oh, it's so funny. Except for one, the tree of the knowledge of good. There's people been reading about years and they still ain't seen that. And they can't stand it. They hate it. They hate it that they miss this. And so they try to debunk it. You'll never be able to debunk this truth because only them that have pleasant sight can see it. I'm sorry. Pay attention to the conversation with Eve. And when the tree became good for food and pleasant to the sight, and when it did, it was not always. This is why I'm talking about convincing. If you have to convince someone to do something, see, the Satan convinced her. It was only after much convincing did the tree become good for food and pleasant to the sight. God did not plant the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. That's the most ridiculous thing I ever heard in my life. Why in the world would he plant something there and tell him not to eat it? That's crazy. Oh, it's crazy. It's bananas. It's bananas. And it's people who claim they're so familiar with the Bible, they look more foolish than they think. He said, don't eat. And then he said, the day that you eat, you'll die. So God put it there to kill it. Man, guys, I understand. God knew it was going to happen. So he was testing them. And so, no, you're missing the point. Let me tell you something. My dad would have never planted a tree anywhere that could kill me and then go show me where the tree's at and say, hey, don't eat at that. To say that that's what God did is the most horrific thing I have ever heard in my life. And this is why people run from Christianity, because how in the world, why would God do that? When you hear their explanation, well, God works in mysterious ways. Well, God's got to test the faith and God's got to, no, my God is a loving father. And he makes it very clear in so many ways that an enemy has done this. And when you go look at the wheat and the tares, if you're going to sit here and try to act like you don't understand, that thing's talking about a lot of things. But one of the things it is talking about is when he was approached, right? Quote unquote, God is approaching and says, I thought you planted all good seeds. And he said, I did, but an enemy has done this. Should we go pluck it up? No, let them grow together. You're missing what you're reading. I'm sorry. You've been preaching wrong for too long, and I apologize. I really do. But to sit here and to cast stones at people who are telling you the truth of what's taking place in the Bible, that is not the way to handle this. You need to grow up, love the people that you're claiming you hate for a logical reason. The Bible says if you hate another believer, another brother, you commit what? Anybody know? Murder. I'm sitting there telling you, stop murdering your brethren because you have failed to see something that's been in front of your face for 20 years and you can't stand it. You have been wrong about something and you're just running around murdering brothers like a scribe and a Pharisee. That's what you're becoming.
Unaliving.
Yeah, right. Unaliving. But we're talking about consciousness, right? Consciousness. All this comes back to consciousness because what your conscience, the way it perceives things, that's what matters to the person. You can ask my heifer. She tells me all the time. She'll, I'm so used to being all riled up. I probably told you this. I got a buddy that did the same thing. This guy's known me for years, bro. And I guarantee you, he could probably only take about an hour of me at a time. You hear me? And he's like, we're out here taking down some, we had like a 3-gun competition out here. And he was helping me take some tents down. Those little tents, you pop the legs out, kind of get the sun off your head. And we're putting one of them up and I'm not sometimes I sound like I'm in a bad mood, but I tell you what, a comfort touch from the old heifer, boy, I'll melt in the ground. You ever seen that emoji of that smiley face melting in the ground? Y'all ever seen that one?
Yes.
Bubba, that's all my wife got to do is touch me on my back and I'll be halfway in the ground already. I'm like, what am I doing wrong? What happened? But my buddy, he does it to me too. But of course he's a guy, so he's going to do it different. I was like, hey, I said, bro, all you got to do is push that button right there. And he stops. And I noticed that he's looking at me, but I didn't know if he was looking in my direction. But he's like, trot. And I go, what? So I look at him. He goes, I'm not an idiot. And I'm like, well, that's true. I just continue doing what I'm doing. I'm like, well, that's true. Like, why are you telling me that? I know you're not an idiot. But of course I thought about it. I was like, okay, maybe I was treating him like he was an E1 private or something, It's like, okay, my bad, bro. No, no big deal. I not mean anything by it. But I'm just saying that because a person's conscience is what it is based on how it perceives things. It's just based on how everything is perceived in the eyes of this person. So what my buddy was telling me is, hey, man, my conscience is not really clear about about your demeanor here, So I'm like, hold on, let me see. What does my conscience say? Well, okay, I think he's right. I need to quit treating him like he's an idiot. That's fair enough. He is a friend, right? You want to keep friends, you kind of need to listen to what your friends are telling you. But it can be anything. It can be, and it can be anything that, that can hurt people's conscience and yours. And like I said, my awesome heifer over there, I'll be doing my thing and she'll just put her hand on my shoulder. Like I already know. I'm like, what? Whatever I'm saying. Well, what happened? Say, hey, can you go give me something to drink? I'm like, oh crap. What'd I do? What did I say? Yep. What do you want? I go get it, come back. I was like, hey, what happened? We'll talk about it later. And I'm like, yeah, I feel like my mom's grabbing my ear. I'm like, what? And then we'll be at the house and I'm like, what? What happened? Well, when your aunt was saying this, you kind of said this and you don't know, but this and this happened yesterday and I didn't want you to continue. And it's just that she just saw some, it was nothing that I was literally doing. Like, it's not like I was being rude or I'm interrupting people.
You sneak out and get on TikTok is what you do. Sneak out and get on TikTok.
Well, I do that, but I'm talking about in this case, we can say that my aunt just found out that, she lost her job. And I'm over here bragging about getting an awesome job. Like, she's trying to stop me from doing that because I don't know that she just lost her job, but my wife knows. Right? So my wife is trying to stop me from hurting this person's conscience. So she's like, hey, can you go get me something to drink? Oh, yeah. And in my head, I'm like, what'd I do? I didn't do nothing, And people say, well, why do you got a guilty conscience? Well, first off, it's not about having a guilty conscience, but you know your significant other. So like if I was interrupting someone, that would be a time she's like, hey, can you go give me something to drink? I'm like, oh crap, did I interrupt or what? It don't matter. It's literally, a man or a woman are only a good man or a woman because they have a good significant other, man. I'm sorry, but it's true. It's true. Now, can you be good without a significant other? Of course you can. You become content. You can have a clear conscience of not being with someone. Absolutely. But that's just not how we were built. We were built to be with people, to be, not to be solo, right? We're not all supposed to be Han Solo. It's funny they call Han Solo. Bro, he's got Chewbacca. I don't know if y'all paid attention, bro. Chewbacca's the man. I mean, he really is. But we're talking about consciousness. So let's go a little bit more into that. I think we were reading all the way to 22. Let's see, Hebrews 10:22. I'm just going to go over that one real quick. He said, let us hold fast to the profession of our faith without wavering. Hey, hold on a second. Tara, how far did you get before I interrupted you and messed up your conscience there?
We stopped at verse 17, so we started 18 to 22.
Okay, yeah. All right, so let's read 18 to 22 then.
Okay. Now where remission of these is, there is no more offering for sin. Having therefore, brethren, boldness to enter into the holiest by the blood of Jesus, by a new and living way, which he hath consecrated for us, through the veil, that is to say, his flesh, and having a high priest over the house of God, let us draw near with a true heart and full assurance of faith, having our hearts sprinkled from an evil conscience and our bodies washed with pure water.
Having our hearts sprinkled from an evil conscience. Now, what did he say literally before this that is supposed to be the remedy of having an evil conscience? It's an 18. 17 and 18. 17 says, and their sins and iniquities will I remember no more. No more. And then it says, now where remission of these is, there is no more offering for sin. So if there's no more offering for sin, then you should not have a conscience of sin. You should not be sin conscious. You should be Christ conscious. Why? Because that's the new covenant. We're no longer under the death of Adam. We're under the quickening spirit of Christ. This is all how God sees you. You are not, your perspective in life is not supposed to be how you see yourself. Your flesh is not supposed to tell you that you suck. Don't you understand? Why are you listening to your flesh? You need to start asking yourself, how does God see me? Who was Jesus talking to Peter? Who was he talking to when he was telling Peter, get behind me, Satan? Who was Jesus talking to when he said to Peter, now I call you rock, and upon this rock I will build a church? Who was Jesus talking to when he said, now go tell John what you saw? So when Jesus looks at you, does he look at your physical you? What is he looking at? How many more times we got to go over this stuff in the Bible where Jesus is constantly talking and he says, for those that have ears to hear, he said, for those that have ears to hear, let them hear. What ears? Is he saying whoever's got paddles on the side of their head, let them hear what I'm saying?
The spirit,
who's he
man.
talking?
The
So
spirit,
if he's always talking to the spirit, how all of a sudden do you allow your carnal mind, the seed of Satan, the one that Jesus is saying, get behind me, because behind him is his curses. That's why Moses saw his back. How long are you going to allow your flesh to get you to focus on the flesh? When are you going to understand that when Jesus is talking to you, he's talking to something else? When is it going to click? Your conscience is going to be the way it is based on perspective. If your perspective is that you're a sinner and you're all this flesh, then you don't understand spirit, soul, and body, and you think that when your flesh points to your flesh, you don't understand that that's the part that God is saying, get behind me, Satan. Mm-hmm. So instead of you coming into agreement and saying, no, get behind me, Satan, I'm going to focus on who Jesus is talking to, and he's not talking to my dead flesh. He's talking to
belly, not our belly.
He's talking to the reborn again you. The part of you that's been born again. The part of you that has been born again has no sin. And that's who he's talking to. So when you are saying that your sinful flesh can take you away from God, you have a wrong perspective. And if the other person says, oh, so sin can't take you away from God, that person has a wrong perspective too, because they're just sin conscious. That's all they see is sin. But a person who has right teaching will have right believing, and they'll understand that being Christ conscious is the only way you're going to have peace, because you're not going to find peace in your flesh, because all it keeps doing is showing you where you have faults. But it's only able to do that because you have a wrong perspective. If when God looks at you, all he sees is amazing, that should make a little more sense. How come all these godly men in a lot of situations, why are they all hiding in the Bible? Why? Ask yourself, what is causing them to hide if it's not their flesh and fear? That's what you're doing. Every time God comes into your heart, into your garden, in the cool of the day, and he says your name, Stephanie, and you're like, no, don't look at me. I'm shameful. Or he says, Tara, what are you doing here hiding? Well, Lord, I know that I'm not right. No, man of valor. What are you talking about? How do you not see this? In the Old Testament, all these people always scared. Elijah runs to the cave. Oh, he's like, what are you doing here in this cave? Why are you hiding? Gideon, what are you doing, man of valor? Man of valor? What are you talking about? I got to hide all this food, man. They're coming. How do you not see yourself there? It's the flesh part of you that's acting this way, not your spirit. Your spirit's not doing this. It's your flesh. And God doesn't even recognize it. You see the flesh, and for some reason you have this wrong perspective that God sees your flesh. It says right here, and their sins and iniquities I will remember no more. No more. But yet your flesh remembers. So then God remembers. If my flesh remembers, then God, no, in your flesh there is no good thing. It's enmity to the spirit. The spirit and flesh are enmity to one another. So all God sees is the real you hiding, and he doesn't understand why. Why are you here? What are you doing here? Do you think he's only asking that like as a rhetorical question only? No, you need to understand he is not going to understand why you're hiding. He doesn't understand. So God's dumb. He don't know. He's trying to show you something. He's trying to show you how he sees you. If he sees you perfect and upright in your spirit because of the Spirit of Christ, he's not trying to hear the nonsense. God does not listen to your flesh like you do. He doesn't respect it. They're enmity. He hates it. Don't you understand? You know why he hates it? Because it's trying to convince you to have a different conscience rather than have a Christ conscience. It's steadily trying to give you a perspective of lies rather than the perspective of truth, which is God's perspective that you're a man of valor. That's what you are. No, you don't understand. And all he's saying is, Satan, get behind me. You're a liar. Let my people go. Now, in reality, we have been let go. We have been set free, but that's why you have to renew your mind. Because sin is not the issue. It's you, your carnal mind, that part of you, the physical you, I'm saying. That's the thing that's keeping us in bondage, the way you think, your perspective, because you have a wrong consciousness. Our conscience is not supposed to be focused on sin, the flesh, the part of you that's unalived. It's not true. So with the people in the Old Testament, they're all hiding, and he's calling all of them these awesome names. You're amazing and all these things. You have the story of Elisha and the little servant guy, and he's scared. And God, and he prays and he says, open the eyes of the young man. His eyes were open, and on all the mountains, he sees all the people that's on his side. Notice the perspective at that point. See, first, the physical perspective is showing him that they are physically outnumbered. But he prayed that his eyes were open and he could see how many of them are actually on their side. Notice how quickly the perspective changed. I could see his face go, or I will use biblical terms. I can see his countenance that had fallen. Didn't take too long to become quickened. As soon as he's seen all of them, like, oh man, y'all are so out of there. Matter of fact, he might have prayed in his heart, Lord, forgive them, for they know not what they do. The perspective changed. Hey, can y'all hear me? All right. The perspective changed all of a sudden. Now the perspective is there's more of us than y'all, more so that I actually probably feel sorry for y'all. Y'all probably best for y'all to about face forward march your way out of here. This is probably not good. But in order for that perspective to be changed, your eyes have to be opened. You need to become descaled. It's prideful to say that sin is the issue. That's pride. That is pride. That's the scales. It's pride because you're more focused on what God has already taken care of rather than who took care of it. You need to be focused on who took care of the problem, not the problem is still not taken care of. It's a totally different perspective. Totally different. But it's easier to believe that I still need to do good. I still need to. If you don't think that way about your physical parents in this world, then why are you doing it to God? Because either my dad is better than God, or he learned it from God. It's one or the other. And I'm going to tell you right now, my dad's not better than God. He just learned that from God. That my dad has never made me feel like my sins is a contributing factor of whether or not my dad's going to love me. It's ridiculous. It's such a hateful thing. Such a hateful thing to go teach a kid, hey, if you're not good, your parents aren't going to love you. I want you to try that out. Why don't you go to a strange kid, 10 years old. If you don't know, I'm being sarcastic. I'm not telling anybody to do this. So if you do this and you get put in handcuffs and thrown in jail, don't throw my name out there. So I'm not telling you to do this. I'm being sarcastic. Texas sarcasm. I'm glad Dre's not here because he'd go do it and say, well, Trot said go do it. I'm being sarcastic. But if you were to go do that, just go find some random kid at Walmart and say, hey, you know your parents don't love you. Go try it. Go try it. See what happens. See how long you last at that store. The parents gonna come after you, bro. Hey, why are you telling them? Nah, because I seen them steal that piece of candy. Nah. Thou shalt not steal. Your parents have to be mad at you now. Matter of fact, I'm gonna get the manager. How dare you? That's funny. We don't do that here in this world, but in the spiritual world, that's how it is. Well, that's how it is in a spiritual world. No. Your dad don't love you. I don't think people realize what they're saying when they tell people that you're sin, God's mad at you. No. You're missing it, buddy. Matter of fact, put your Bible down, please. Stop reading your Bible. Lord have mercy. Go join a cult. Go do something else. You're ruining it for all of us here. Please, Lord have mercy. Go find a hobby. Go make, I don't know, man. Go blow up glass. Go do that. Get good at that because you're horrible at this. If you would not go to I'm sorry, go ahead. Who's talking?
Oh, no, I was just going to say, because God says, I will separate you from sin as far as the east is from the west. But then I believe that sin is going to separate you from God. So they're giving more way or more leverage to sin, to God.
Right. And notice the option. God never takes away the option. He is not very clear the way you want him to be because it's only for those that have ears to hear. I'm sorry. He said he's going to separate sin from you as far as the east is to the west. And if you don't know what that means, it's not talking about the east and the west of this world the way you think. It's not talking about that kind of a distance. It's not talking about, wow, man, the east is over there. Wow, the west, how far that is. No. He's talking about Eden. He's talking about Eden, and he's talking about the exiled world. Eden in the east, exiled world, west. East to the west is not talking about the east as a holy place and the west America. Oh, here we go. Revelation, America's the demon. America's the west. That's not, come on. It's not what it's talking about. It's talking about the Bible. All the answers are in the Bible. It's not talking about America. As far as the east is from the west, if you don't understand that where the east is the promised land, the spiritual promised land. If you're the west of that, you are an exiled nation. That's why Goliath's name means exile. That's why his name means exile, because he's the west. Yeah. The promised land is representing Eden. That's what it's representing. That's why Goliath could not enter, because he's standing for the first Adam, the part of us that have been exiled, how death entered. So when David came out of Israel, when he came out to fight Goliath, there was a shadow of Christ coming and defeating exile, separating sin from the east, how far the east is from the west. David's name, it means love. Translated in English, David is love. So love conquered exile. We were exiled out of Eden, out of the promised land into the west, which is the desolate desert land, and it took God himself to come rescue us. Your sins as far as the east is to the west. That's what that's talking about. Let me see. DJ, what's going on, man? What's on your mind?
What's up?
What's on your mind, man?
Good.
You just listening in or what?
Yeah, just listening.
Praise God.
You pause again, try. If you knew that or not, you should pause again. All right, you're back now.
It's all those telemarketers. I've been getting the same thing.
Man,
So
spam calls
if
are ridiculous. I only
if
got
you're
two
if you're
since
talk
I've been on here.
What you say?
no, I was gonna say if you're talking trot, we can't hear nothing yet.
Yeah, try.
Hey, Trot, are you back?
Y'all got me?
Yep,
Y'all
now we
hear
Now we
me?
got you.
got you.
Now.
Yeah, man, I don't know
You,
why everybody's blowing up my phone today.
you
Well,
ain't getting
anyway, look, guys, we're talking about consciousness, okay, in many directions. There's a lot of directions to go with this, but our consciousness is going to lead us to have a certain perspective. And that certain perspective is either going to be more from the flesh or it's going to be more from the spirit. And you need to, as quickly as possible, you need to make up your mind on which one is true. Stop being tossed to and fro from your flesh to your spirit, from your flesh to your spirit. Once it sets in, right, the proper perspective to be Christ conscience, not sin conscience. People say, oh, well, it's going to cause you to sin more. Well, that's funny because all the quote unquote churches, all these people who are under the law, they still sin. It's crazy. They still sin, but if you're preaching grace, God's love, grace, and mercy, and being Christ conscience, if you sin, that's why you sin, because you don't talk about the law enough. Well, the Bible makes it clear that the law strengthens sin, first off, but it's okay for them to sin because they talk about the law. How does that make any sense? What you're saying?
the law
So if
is in
someone
the
is
face. The law is in the face, so it don't please God.
right, so it makes no sense that people are saying, oh, well, we're doing it right. Listen, it's not about whether you keep talking about the law or you keep talking about God's grace. It's about every individual renewing their mind. That's it. It's not about sin. Sin is not the issue. The issue is our body is considered in God's eyes unalived. Period. The end. And when you do fall, we have an advocate with the Father. We have an advocate with the Father. I pray that you don't sin, but if you do, we have an advocate with the Father. He is not telling you go do whatever you want. I don't know why people even waste their time talking about that. Sin is not the issue. It's not the issue. The issue is people are not renewing their mind. You are going to constantly fail while you're here. I don't care on what level. I don't care if someone got saved last week and they were a horrific person and there's another person been saved for 20 years and they can't stop sneaking out of their bed at midnight and getting another spoon of ice cream because they don't want their wife to be mad at them. They're both coming from the same root. Don't you understand?
Hey,
Well,
was on live when I did that?
oh, but I had my my buddy of mine that he's a retired psychologist. It took him a minute to see that, but he thought that if somebody went around slapping people in the back of the head, that's worse. That's not the same as stealing ice cream at night when your wife's not watching. I said, it's exactly the same. He's like, really? Elaborate. I said, okay, I will. I said, if we were to call people trees, if we were to call them trees, and your fruit coming off your tree had words, if all your fruit had words on them and all yours said extra ice cream at night, extra ice cream at night, every one of the apples said that. And then we go to this other tree and every one of their apples said slapped another person, slapped another person. Which one of y'all has a good fruit there? He's like, well, yeah, but mine ain't as bad. No, brother. They're all from the same root, brother. They're all from the same root. I don't care what cute name you give it. It doesn't matter. I don't care how much better you think you are. If I was just a regular person looking at these two trees and I was to tell you to explain to me, what does this mean, extra spoon at night? What does that mean, extra spoon of ice cream? Oh, well, my wife don't like it. Oh, so you're lying. So now all of a sudden lying is good. Well, no, but it's not as bad. No, brother, let's stop the nonsense. Your fruit is bad fruit, brother. This guy's fruit is bad fruit. Y'all are the same. But somehow you have been able to compartmentalize these things somehow separate from each other and say, but yours is on a different level. Well, I can promise you this, if sin was measured that way, there would be people in hell bragging about being the better sinner. And when I say better, I don't mean that they sin more. I'm saying they're bragging about that they sinned less, but yet y'all are both in hell. I don't understand this. I don't understand this principle. Who's teaching this? If you go to hell because of sin and you're right next to Adolf Hitler, first of all, I don't know if that man was ever saved, said he was. I don't know. God knows. But don't be surprised if you're in heaven and you're next to Adolf Hitler, okay? Don't be surprised. Amen. God's grace should not surprise you. You see people doing a horrific thing and you take God out of the equation. I don't know if that man became saved, ever was. I don't know. So I'm not going to be surprised if he's in hell. I'm not going to be surprised he's in heaven because I know how you get to both of them places. You're either saved or you're not. I don't know if that man was ever saved. I'm not going to say he was saved when he started his journey. I don't believe he was saved then. But at the end of his journey, I don't know if he got saved. I don't know that. And quit being a fool and acting like you know. You don't know. Stop it. Stop the nonsense.
We
There's
don't
going to be
have
people up.
no hell to put anybody in.
Yeah, so we might continue on consciousness. There's a few other verses that we can kind of dabble in. We might continue there Monday, but for today we are done. But if anybody on the panel, if there's something you want to say it now or forever. Hold your peace.
Well, try. Bro, so I want to tell you congratulations and have fun getting back on with you, brother. It goes off
absolutely.
The rest of God.
Man. I work. Yeah, no, I'm glad you came up, man.
Yeah,
it's kind of weird, you don't think that you can meet a friend, online and stuff like that. But it's crazy. You can, you absolutely can. Now I understand we're not going to, be able to physically hang out and all that. But, when you meet somebody and they're okay people, it's okay
don't say that, bro. Don't say that, bro. I'm getting better and better. Don't be surprised if I don't show up at Texas, my friend.
You go show up ready to go hunting.
Heck yeah, going on trips with y'all, bro. I used to ride my motorcycle always
absolutely.
South Dakota, bro. I used to go to Sturgis, so yeah, I travel.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, but no, I'm glad you came up, and shoot, I'm sure everybody, be glad to have you. Any morning, I don't care if it's every morning. Any morning you want to come up, man, you come up. If you happen to just be feeling down that day, fine, stay in the chat. No big deal.
Yeah, if I got therapy or something I want, brother, than that, man, I'll be here. But God bless everybody. It was nice meeting everybody and talking to everybody, and God bless, and y'all have a good day.
Absolutely. Anybody else got something to say before we bounce?
Yeah, just want to say, Brother Hulk, it's inspiring to hear how you trusted in the Lord and you pressed on forward through your trials, and through your illness, brother. It's inspiring. God bless you, and continue that moving forward, brother, and getting fully restored, 110% in Jesus' name, brother.
I appreciate you, brother. I appreciate that.
Trot, TD had a question. She wanted you to repeat about the East is from the West.
Who's asking that?
TD Maria.
Oh, okay. Let me see. Can you repeat about the East from the West? Yeah. God, it's already 10:11. I'll tell you what, Maria, you, Ryan, please, you, everyone that's listening, please, tomorrow, I need one of you to bring this up. So, Maria, please come up here. And if you have to put that in the chat 20, 30
Monday.
times until one of us see it, let that be the first thing we discuss tomorrow. It's already 10:10. I got a lot to do today. And I'm telling you right now, what I'm going to want to do is go to that verse and then go over it, which is probably going to take,
Saturday.
oh yeah, I'm sorry. That's fine. That's fine. Then we'll do it Monday. We'll do it Monday. We'll go over it again Monday. We'll go to the verse and go over it because I love going over this, and I want to talk to the real you about it. I don't want to talk to your flesh. It is not about the answer. That's what you need. Everybody needs to understand. It is not about getting the answer. John the Baptist said, "Are you the one, or am I supposed to be expecting another?" Jesus could have easily said, "Yes." You have to ask yourself, why didn't he? He does not appease the flesh. He understands that John was in his flesh. We all do this. And it's better to use Jesus's way on how to answer these questions. You need to speak to people's hearts about a question, not to their head. Their head wants the answer now. No, just give me the answer. I'm going to give you the answer, but I'm only going to answer it in a way that people who have ears to hear can hear. So that's why I'm just not rushing through it, right? So anyhow, anybody else on the panel got something to say before we go?
I guess, we're having Trinity Friday. And I told him I think now because of Dre's traveling.
Yeah.
Trout's got a lot of baby conversations today, bro. I don't think he can do
Net,
2 or 3.
your phone's gonna be blowing up with
They
him.
got a foxhole to build, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely working on that. Definitely working on that foxhole. Let's see. Taylor, Tara, Steph, any one of y'all got something to say before we go? Unc?
Appreciate you. And
Absolutely.
my aloha is with everyone.
God bless
God bless.
on the
God bless
wonderful news.
everybody.
I just wanted to say that I've been in my flesh lately, so this conversation has been very edifying to me.
Well.
Amen.
Yeah, no, here's the thing. Everybody's not going to come up here and say, "Hey, I've been in my flesh today." No, not everybody's going to say that, but we all know it. You know why? Because we're still here in this earth.
That's facts.
Yeah.
So you're not alone. We're all in our flesh. The thing I was telling you about, where my heifer come up, put her hand on me, that just happened the other day.
Yeah.
That just happened the other day. But as a couple, because she understands we're one.
Mm-hmm.
So she knows, hey, can you just go give me something to drink? And I know, well, I'm going to go get her something to drink, not because she told me to, but first of all, that is why. But I could clearly see she just wants me to stop talking. So I'm like, okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I am going to be like, what'd I do? Why she, and then she's like, no, your family member just lost a really good job and you're over here talking about this thing over here. And I didn't want, I was like, oh, okay. But I can respect her enough to understand why she's telling me to go get something to drink. Because as a couple, if she would not have done that, as a couple, we both would have been, she would have allowed me to, because she knew that my family member is going through this hard time, it would have been the flesh. It's hard to explain, but when you become one, y'all do this together. Y'all work this out together. So for her not to allow me to do that, okay, she's doing the right thing, and I'm saying that because everybody, we're all one body. That's true. We're all one body, one spirit. But when you're married, you protect each other in that way, the same way, right? So, and I'm telling you, y'all should understand this part. If my family member just got through telling her this thing, and she's and my significant other is allowing me to like go on this spiel of this awesome event that's taking place, You don't think that my family member is gonna look at her like, golly, can you get him to be quiet? You know, I don't need anybody kicking me down, you know, while I'm down already, you know. I'm telling you, people see things that way. People notice that stuff.
Yeah.
And I guarantee you she noticed, oh, she put her hand on him to get him to be quiet. And she's gonna look at us as a sweet couple. It is what it is. She's gonna be able to see that, wow, they actually do collaborate pretty well. She can pick up
Y'all
on that
just
too.
familiar with each other, man. You're familiar
Yeah.
with each other.
Yeah. So I'm saying all that to say that in so many directions, the flesh is always at its work in so many directions. So, you know, everybody has either a fleshly moment. I don't care if it lasts 5 hours, 10 days, a month. And Steph, the other day I saw you type, you said, I went back and I grabbed Jesus' hand, and I had to tell you the truth. You're not holding his hand. He's holding yours, and he don't let
Right.
go.
Amen.
So that's the truth. And that's how a Christ conscious person is supposed to think. We ain't holding his hand. It was him that loved us first, and he ain't let go since.
Right.
So,
They left 99 or
but like I
something.
said, Tammy building a new room. Oh man, let me say this real quick. Tammy, I wish you wouldn't have said that. So now my podcast room.
It's
Bubba. What? What do you say?
your
Said bye
podcast is
to it.
going bye
Yeah.
Well, okay, so here's man, I need to hop off. Y'all can't get me
No, no,
talking.
no, no. You called CJ because CJ handled it both. He didn't get rid of it.
All right, well let me just say this. Let me just say this. All right, so yeah. Britta said now a nursery. All right, yes, that's where I'm going with this, obviously. Okay, so there's a little closet in this room. It's not big, like it doesn't take up a lot of the room, but it's big enough that if I was to tear it down, it would add multiple square feet to this room. So I wish I could say that I was manly enough to convince her that I'll have half and the baby will have half. I think what she's looking at is you'll have 1/5 and the baby will have the
You
rest.
just take
So
the closet,
I'm,
bro. You take the closet, and that way you can shut the
yeah, she
door.
probably should have just said, you know what, let's leave that closet alone and that'll be your area of operation, sir.
There
That'll be
you
your.
go.
So basically, this table that I have, I'm going to have to take this table and pull this thing, like literally, I'm going to be against the wall, like completely. And obviously, she's going to let me keep the TV up there, right? So first of all, I don't think a baby can even watch movies when they're like, 2 days old, but whatever. The TV is going to stay right there. But I'm marking it out, and I'm like, dude, literally, I have 1/5 of the room, and so I might have to put like a partition around the little area because the rest of it's going to be. And then again, she could change her mind and say, hey, why don't you just move all this to the roof? You can just stay on the house. How about that? Maybe that's what's going to happen. I don't know.
bye.
You know that proverb. You know that proverb.
No.
I'm sorry.
Happy wife, happy life. Remember that, brother.
Oh, I know, man. Hey, the Bible even says that, you'd be better off living on top of the roof than in a
Yep,
house with the scornful woman. So,
that's
Yeah.
right. No, it says it 3 times in Proverbs. 3 times.
oh, not just one time. Yeah, not just
No,
one time.
it's
All right,
three
guys,
times
we're
it
gone.
mentions it.
That's the
Yeah.
three
So,
words,
guys,
bro.
we're gone. Hey, I'm out. We will see y'all Monday. And God bless. And until
Congrats
Monday, y'all
again,
have a good
bro.
one.
Congrats again, bro. For real.
Absolutely. Absolutely. God bless.
Enjoy the weekend,
Bless you.
guys.
God
Ladies,
bless.
love y'all.